This series, examining how to be a successful owner-operator, is brought to you by Michelin Canada. Michelin, a better way forward.
Ray, last time out we talked about revenue, and the other big part of that equation is costs. How do we begin to get our head around costs? Where do we begin our understanding of costs?
Cost is broken down into two sectors typically. There's a fixed cost, which is usually a measurement of time. So when I say a measurement of time, let's say this month you've got a $2,000 tractor payment. Or let's say you're paying for your plates and you pay $2,400 for your plates. Well, that's $200 for the month. Might be insurance. You just take the insurance premium that you've got, divide it by 12, and that's a cost of time. Where the variable expense is a cost of distance. So distance being fuel, gallons per mile, maintenance costs per mile, communications costs per mile. Those things that you incur when you go to work and roll the truck. The other costs are going to be there whether you roll that truck or not. So that's the principal difference in the two types of expenses. And
those variable costs, I guess those are the ones that you have more control over. Is it safe to say that?
It's safe to say that. Hopefully on your fixed costs you've done the right things right, you've bought the truck at the right price, you've got some decent financing, and you've done what you could and what was available in the market for you to minimize what those numbers were, but they're fixed. The variable is really where I get excited. That's where the gravy is, and good owner-operators know that that's where there's a lot of black ink and a lot of money to be made there if they focus on those variable costs.
The number one variable cost that would be a concern to me would be fuel, because that's one of the biggest costs that you're going to face on a month-to-month basis. What can you do to control how much fuel you're consuming?
Well, that's exactly right. It is the number one thing, and if managed properly at the right care, it can be actually a revenue source. What you need to do is you need to buy a fuel-efficient truck. If you can picture the most fuel-efficient truck being an egg going down the road, perfect. That egg or that aerodynamic truck is going to typically get 15-20% more miles per gallon than a typical conventional or a flat-nosed truck. So that's where you start. And then everything that goes along with just good maintenance and good care and control of the vehicle, making sure that the tires have the right inflation, making sure that the aerodynamics that are on the truck are in good order, not driving the truck too fast. Every mile over 60 miles an hour, the rule of thumb is that costs 1/10 of a gallon. So if you're driving 65 compared to 55, it's costing you 1 mile per gallon, and we're talking about 30 cents a mile for fuel, so that's big. So all those things go into making sure that you're going to control your variable costs, which should ensure that the dollars fall to the bottom of the page, which is what you want. When I talked about fuel surcharge, there's a lot of carriers that pay fuel surcharge to an owner-operator based on a fixed mile per gallon type formula. And some of those formulas are 6 miles to the gallon, 6.5 miles to the gallon. If you can get your truck as an owner-operator to get 7 miles to the gallon or 7.5, and in the summertime up to 8, depending on, of course, the load configurations and the type of carrier and where you're running to, then you're actually hoping for higher price fuel because you're going to make a few bucks off the fuel surcharge. So you really got to pay attention.
And what can I do as a driver of that vehicle to optimize fuel economy? Is it just a matter of slowing down, or is there more to it than that?
There's more to it than that. Slowing down is critical. It's probably the number one on the page. I strongly encourage drivers to look at the Smith system of driving, and it's Smith system of driving, and you can search it on the internet, but it's basically a safety program. But what it encourages is for drivers to pretend there's an egg under the throttle, so slow accelerations, and an egg under the brake, so slow decelerations. And it encourages a 12-second advanced view of what the road is. So hard brakings cost fuel. Hard brakings cost linings of brakes. Hard brakings are hard on the vehicle all the way around. Soft brakings are easy on the vehicle. Less maintenance, less fuel is expended when you're stopping quickly and then accelerating, and stopping quickly and accelerating. So there's driving techniques that are out there that really will help you ensure your safety and that you get home to the family, but also will help you maximize the black ink and the dollars at the bottom of the page. So there are some very good learning tools out there for owner-operators that they can research and spend some time with. And always learning is key to success. You've got to keep your eyes open, your ears open, and be open to new ideas. And you know, there's always a better way to bake a cake. And owner-operators need to be aware of what's new in the market.
What about aftermarket products, aftermarket devices? Because there are so many out there that say they save substantial amounts of fuel. How do you evaluate whether they're going to live up to that expectation and decide what's worth the investment?
There are a lot of items that are out there. Some have been out in the market for quite a few years. Super singles come to mind on tires. They came out 15 years ago, and they're just the oddest looking things going down the road. Now you see them in a lot of different applications, and a lot of large trucking companies are going to them, which usually tells me that they've tested them and they see efficiencies. I'm hearing numbers at 6.5% increase in fuel economies. There is in our climate up here, there's in-cab heaters. There's different products out there to help control the temperature inside the vehicle when you're asleep or you're at rest without running the truck to save you fuel. So there's ROI models that you can go through. So what's the investment that you have to make compared to what the projected cost might be? And sitting down with a business consulting or a professional that will help you go through that scenario. So, you know, at $3+ a gallon, if you're traveling in the U.S. And you're idling for 8 hours a night, a gallon an hour, it's 24 bucks a day just so you can take a nap, compared to maybe having a APU, an auxiliary power unit on there that might be half of that or less than that, and having a professional sit down with you and figure out what the capital cost of that investment is compared to when the actual when you're going to break even with that, and when you start putting more money, or the money in your pocket that used to go out the stack is you know, it would be a well thought out investment that hopefully would again put money in the bottom of the page for you in the long run.
Any other ideas on how to control fuel costs and costs in general?
Again, always having your eye on the balance sheet or the profit and loss statement compared to the budget and see where things are getting off track. Always have your eye open to what's new. Simple things. It really is granular money. What I mean by granular money, if as an owner-operator you don't know what your fuel cost is out to 3 decimals, you're probably not measuring it properly. You really need to have a handle on all aspects of the business. Are there new cell plans out there that are making yours obsolete that are cheaper? Is there new technology in self-greasers and in bypass oil filters? There's all these new things that are on the market that, again, aren't always, they might be new to the person hearing about them, but they've been out in the market and they've been tested and are gradually gaining more momentum because they have been successful. So you need to keep your eyes open for all those things. Again, part of the owner-operator's day should be to concentrate on those variable expenses, because that's really where the money is. If you think about what it takes to make, let's say you have a 10% profit. So you did 120,000 miles a year at $1 a mile, that leaves you $12,000. So you had to do $120,000 gross to make $12,000. But if you think about your variable expenses and your fixed expenses, every dollar you save is a dollar directly into your pocket. So it just makes common sense to focus down on those fixed and variable expenses and minimize them.
So Ray, we've talked about revenue, we've talked about costs, I guess, and now we have to talk a little bit about discipline and managing money.